One moment in time, your soul and mine floating up into the clouds. Two bodies under the moonlight, not even making a sound. We spoke about the truth to lead the way. Spoke about how you would make me stay. Bright big visions and all the change. A new world.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Neutral News Network. I'm Brian, alongside just Zach for this evening, but that's okay. Jake has currently moved into a new house, and he is taking his time getting that all set up. And as somebody who's about to move in about 2 weeks, I fully sympathize, photosynthesis. But yeah, happy to be here with you guys for another week. I think this is 3 weeks in a row. Is that like a personal record?
We're
Is
we're
that like
doing pretty good. I don't think we've been
yeah,
like 3 weeks in a row since like the first 3 weeks.
the very beginning? Yeah. All right. Well, without further ado, we'll go ahead and crack into the good old-fashioned economy section of Ground News. And again, we bring up Ground News every week, but Ground News is just a great place that we fully recommend you get your news from. It's a great way to aggregate a bunch of different news stories, and you kind of see the bias that gets imposed on a lot of these stories. So we just think as a group, it is a great place for you to get your information, and that is our primary objective here, to keep you all informed. All right. So this is fairly breaking news, but Linda Yaccarino steps down as the CEO of Elon Musk's X, formerly known as Twitter. I believe she had been the CEO since the beginning of the transition to X, and Elon Musk thanked her for her service, and she will be stepping down. And I do not believe they've named a replacement so far. All right. Next, NVIDIA becomes the first company to clinch a $4 trillion market cap. And that is just a absolutely bananas amount of money. Uh, but yeah, I looked at the stock price just a little bit before we hopped on. Let me see if I can pull up the value of it here. The stocks are trading at $162.88 a share. I believe last year, or the year before, they did a reverse split. So the stock used to be like $1,000, but now they did a 10-to-1 reverse split. So that drops the stock price down to 162. But the way a reverse split works is the stock price will, be divided by 10x, but you'll effectively get 10 times the shares. So really nothing changes in your portfolio value. It's just it reduces the price of an individual share. All right. Last but not least, Trump threatens more countries with tariffs as high as 30%. So I believe there is a new deadline out there for countries in regards to establishing deals with the United States. I believe that deadline is now August 1st. And if a deal is not reached by that deadline, tariff rates will go back to what they were um, during Liberation Day. So that would be an interesting story to probably keep track of and potentially cover around that August 1st date as that date marches on. It's hard to believe that we're over halfway through the year. Seems like it just started yesterday. Turns out time flies when you're having fun and when you're not. So
I don't know that fun is the
um,
word I would use, but it's certainly a word.
well, that's what I was saying. Time flies when you're having fun and when you're not. So, and then this isn't on the ground news section, but I believe I saw earlier that Amazon Prime Day is today, and it runs for a few other days. I think they've got like a 4-day thing going on, to the 13th. And I believe I saw somewhere that the first day sales for Amazon Prime Day were down 41% compared to last year, which is bananas. Like that is insanely. That is a huge drop, really. Um, but let's say if you found that real quick. Feel free to let me know if I was correct there.
Yeah, it's 41%.
Okay.
But Forbes gets really mad at ad blocks, so find a different site.
Oh. Dang, Forbes, come on. We're just trying to tell the people what's going on.
There you go.
Whew.
All 41%. That is tough.
That is tough. I'll be curious to see what the final results are. Because usually, your first day is your biggest day. At least I would assume, unless something's different. But I
So
mean, that's usually what. Okay.
the only thing I didn't realize is they
Mhm.
went from 2 days to 4 days. I had
Mhm.
never paid attention, I guess, but I
Yeah.
wonder if it will all even out and
Right. If
just
they've
be,
got.
because also it started on a Tuesday. I think yesterday was the first day, so Tuesday's a little bit weird going through the end of the week, payday hits for people and whatnot. I'm wondering if it
True.
evens out.
Yeah, it might. Yeah, and especially because you think too, yeah, like you said, most paydays fall on a Friday and it doesn't end until Sunday, so there's definitely a chance that it could balance out. But I mean, just if you're looking at that number as somebody whose job relies on Prime Day, uh, that's a really big drop. I don't care who you are. 41%, I mean, is a steep drop.
So it's 4 days, which means it would end Friday.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Did I
Friday
say
would
the
be the
13th?
last.
I meant to say.
Yeah, 11.
Yeah. Apologies.
Which feels like maybe a little bit of like a mind game, because think about the people that do get paid on Friday. Are they going to impulse buy now because they're like, oh, this
It's
is
the
the
last
last day for
day.
the sale. I just got paid. I got to get it now or I'm hosed. So
That's a good point. That's a very good point. That's and I'm imagining that that's kind of the consensus because I'm also looking at Amazon stock today, and that news does not seem to have scared stockholders very much. At least not yet, because their stock was up 1.45% today, and it is still not close to its all-time high of, I believe that all-time high was $241, so it's still about $20 off that. But, seeing as how the stock was not red on the day, even with that type of scary number, I think that's a good sign if you're an Amazon shareholder. But I'm not personally, at least not a direct Amazon shareholder, so I don't have to worry about that.
yeah, and,
But
Ashlyn over there on YouTube confirmed that Friday is the last day.
gotcha. Ashlyn, are you going to be participating in Prime Day? Let's give you some time to answer that. But um, the next story that we're going to talk about has been an ongoing saga for years now. Um, and it is the Epstein client list, or the lack thereof, because it has been general consensus for quite some time that Jeffrey Epstein had a list of individuals who he had going on these trips with him, and this was all kept, this was all maintained, and this was all part of the overall trafficking scheme that he ran. And I believe Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison for this trafficking, and a lot of people have made the reference that this trafficking, if there's no list, then was she tracking, or yeah, was she trafficking nobody to nobody? So there's been a lot of scrutiny from both Democrats and Republicans on the Department of Justice saying that there's no list. But it's tough to say. Oh, I'm not sure yet. I will have to head over to check out the deals. I did get a PlayStation cord, so that's good. Perfect. Ashlyn and I had a conversation that she needed to get a PlayStation cord because they lost theirs during the move, and they need to get back into playing the PlayStation because it's just a decorative ornament right now for them. So
That's an expensive paperweight.
exactly. Um, but yeah, so before we get into the article, first thoughts. What do you think?
Uh,
Good summary. Good summary.
about that,
And we're done.
nothing about any of it makes any kind of sense. Did we ever?
Correct.
I don't know if they'll discuss it. There was a big hoopla about that minute missing from the video.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
said they were gonna. They claimed it happens like every night. Part of the crap they use.
Okay.
So they were gonna go back and find old video from like the same time to show like that minute is missing every single night. Very consistent thing. Did they ever do that?
I
Have we
have not
seen that?
seen that.
Okay. I
I
haven't
have
seen
not
it
seen
either,
that.
but
I was about to say, if you end up finding it, let me know. If anybody else in the comments ends up finding it, let us know, because obviously if that's the case, that does open up some things. Because the statement is obviously that Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide, and a lot of people are arguing that with that missing minute, a lot can happen in a minute. It's very easy to strangle somebody and kill them in a minute, is kind of what a lot of people are saying. Again, we don't know. We can only speculate. I'm not huge on conspiracy theories, as we will get into on the later part of this episode. But yeah, it's just a lot of this stuff doesn't add up, and if it doesn't pass the smell test, I think it's okay to ask questions. It's not okay to like completely fabricate things out of nowhere. But it is okay to ask questions and to try and pry a little bit deeper into figuring out what happened, especially when it's garnering criticism from both sides of the aisle. I mean, you've got Democrats who are saying, "You said you were going to release this list. Like, where is it?" And we want to prosecute these people to the fullest extent of the law. And then it's almost the exact same message from Republicans. It's just like, "Hey, where's this list? Like, these are all child predators. We want to get these people thrown into prison." And we were told there was a list of very powerful individuals. Now, obviously, Democrats want to take down Republicans, and Republicans want to take down Democrats. So there's a vested interest in both parties having this done, which is begs the question, like, both parties want it done. Why did it disappear? This was kind of, everybody kind of rallied around like putting people associated with Jeffrey Epstein in jail. I'm almost sure if you if you polled, would you put all of Jeffrey Epstein's associates behind bars? I'm pretty sure you'd get close to 100% agreement from everyone.
I'm glad you said close because I saw uh,
Yeah, exactly.
a
Close.
handful of
Nothing's.
people today
Uh,
who were like, I don't even want to say what they said because it's terrible and my brain cannot comprehend why people think these things. But
mhm.
just know, definitely not 100%.
Yeah. Yep. I've seen the same thing too. And you like, all I'm gonna say is you just have to hope they're bots. You have to hope that they're bots and somebody programmed them to be rage bait. That's literally what you have to hope. That's all you got. Because if not, then boy oh boy do we're cooked. We're screwed. Oh. But anyways, I've got a Fox News article that we will pull up and we'll scroll down through. Um, and
Maybe.
we will kind of. Oh, I was about to say, can you see it?
Why? Why you do this?
That's okay.
There it is. Okay.
It's my fault. Blame me. All right. So yeah, this is from Fox News, titled "Bondi Under Siege After Department of Justice Reveals No Epstein Client List. Trump Administration Pushes Back on Media Questions About the Attorney General's Past Statements on Epstein Files." So Peter Ducey is a senior White House correspondent for Fox News, and he has been notorious for asking a lot of tough questions on the previous administration. And he is now asking this question under the Trump administration. And if I play this video, we should have the audio for it, correct?
We'll find out together. Theoretically,
Okay,
yes,
sounds
but
good.
I'm not 100%
Okay,
sure at this point.
just let me know. Once this, you got it?
Concluded there was no Jeffrey Epstein client list. What do you tell MAGA supporters who say
Then I'll
they want
restart it.
anyone
So
involved in Caroline? The DOJ and FBI have now concluded there was no Jeffrey Epstein client list. What do you tell MAGA supporters who say they want anyone involved in Jeffrey Epstein's alleged crimes to be held accountable?
This administration wants anyone who has ever committed a crime to be held accountable, and I would argue this administration has done more to lock up bad guys than certainly the previous administration. And the Trump administration is committed to truth and to transparency. That's why the Attorney General and the FBI Director pledged at the President's direction to do an exhaustive review of all of the files related to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes and his death. And they put out a memo in conclusion of that review There was material they did not release because, frankly, it was incredibly graphic and it contained child pornography, which is not something that's appropriate for public consumption. But they committed to an exhaustive investigation. That's what they did, and they provided the results of that. That's transparency.
Follow up on that,
Sure.
Caroline. Okay, so the FBI looks at the circumstances surrounding the death of Jeffrey Epstein. According to the report, this systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. So what happened to the Epstein client list that the Attorney General said she had on her desk?
Well, I think if you go back and look at what the Attorney General said in that interview, which was on your network on Fox
I've
News.
got the quote.
Go ahead.
John Roberts said, DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen? And she said, it's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Yes, she was
What?
saying the entirety of all of the paperwork, all of the paper in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. That's what the Attorney General was referring to, and I'll let her speak for that. But again, when it comes to the FBI and the Department of Justice, they are more than committed to ensuring that bad people are put behind bars. They have an operation going on right now called Summer Heat, which has our murder rate trending in the lowest direction in United States history. Their emphasis on violent crime and locking up violent criminals has led to the arrest of 14,000 violent criminals. That's a 62% increase from the same time period last year. So this Attorney General and the FBI Director are committed to putting bad people behind bars where they belong. They promised an exhaustive review. That's what they did. For any further details, I would refer you to the Department of Justice. Okay.
So again, not passing the smell test. Okay. Like I just want to be clear. So she got asked the first question and she completely deflected it. Completely said, went into this tangent about how they're getting criminals off the street, which fine, whatever. That's more than acceptable, more than understandable. But then the quote, I mean, I've pretty much had Peter Ducey's reaction, and I'm not, me personally, I'm not a huge fan of Peter Ducey, but I think he has a very good reaction to be like, well, oh, like, it's like, because that's not what she said. She didn't like the question that was posed to her at that time said that the files are on my desk to review, and the question was specifically about the client list. She didn't say, oh, I have the entire Epstein, file repertoire on my desk ready to review for the Department of Justice. Like, she could have made that specification, and in my opinion, if she wanted to, she's smart enough to do so, and she didn't. I'm trying to be as clear as I can here. I don't think Pam Bondi's stupid, so I think that when that question was asked to her, she gave a answer that, again, that the MAGA base wanted to hear, that anyone wanted to hear, that the Department of Justice is going to review this list, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now that they're coming out and saying that, oh, it was just a review for all of the documentations involved with the case, okay. So so here's my thing. And again, this is what doesn't pass the smell test, right? Is that there are flight logs, okay? There are flight logs. There are documented phone numbers. There's a extensive paper trail. There's multiple, as she just said, multiple videos featuring child pornography that have, I would imagine, the faces of the individuals who were there in those videos. You can probably do some facial recognition on the videos, can you not? And you
would
can
think.
probably make a list from that, can you not?
But you would also think.
So even if there's no Epstein client list, you, the Department of Justice, can make an Epstein client list. And let me be very clear. I'm going to look directly in the camera for this. I don't care if Joe Biden is on the Epstein client list. I don't care if Bill Clinton's on the Epstein client list. I don't care if Ronald Reagan's on the Epstein client list. He's dead. I don't care if Donald Trump's on the Epstein client list. If they're on it, they should go into jail, or they should have their reputations permanently tarnished in the form of Ronald Reagan, Jimmy Carter, George Washington. I don't give a shit. If they were on the list, tarnish the reputation if they're dead. Is that clear enough? I think that's clear enough. I don't care. I don't care. So do it. Like, I don't understand. What do you have to lose unless you have something to hide? Because, like I said, not 100%, but 99% of people out there want these people brought to justice, and we're just not doing it. So, all right. So I will scroll down this article and we can kind of read through some tidbits together, and you can give me your 2 cents at any point if you'd like to. But um, yeah, Pam Bondi is facing scrutiny for remarks she made this year about Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking case at the Department of Justice after her and the Department of Justice brought their Epstein inquiry to an abrupt close over the weekend. And again, that was kind of a weird thing about this too, and I want to bring up. It's like there was no, oh, we're getting ready to wrap this up. Oh, we're getting ready to do this. It was just like case closed, no list. Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. That's it. Okay, bye. Like this administration's not known for not drumming things up. You know what I mean? Like we've heard about tariffs how many times in the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 7 weeks, 12 weeks? We Every week it's something about tariffs, right? We heard about releasing the Epstein files all during the election, and then silence, crickets, nothing on it until it's closed. Very weird, but I digress. Yeah, so here's that quote. She was saying the entirety of all the paper in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. That's what the Attorney General was referring to, and I'll let her speak to that. But I mean, it's the same thing that I was just saying. It's just like if you've got all of that paperwork, all of that documentation, it seems like you can make a list yourself. But moving on. Um, yeah, it's sitting on my desk to review right now, right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. More transparency in 6 months in the Biden administration, 4 years. Yeah, systemic review revealed no incriminating client list. So yeah, so here's a section where she blames the FBI's New York field office. But now, I mean, the thing is that the FBI is controlled nationally. I mean, so I'm sure you can get it, especially since you're the head of the Department of Justice. But again, seems odd. You either have control over it or you don't. Yeah, so and this is another thing too. So Trump administration invited a group of right-wing social media influencers to the White House to give them binders of what appeared to be a first look at the highly anticipated Epstein-related material. Yeah, so I've seen pictures of this. Widely circulated photos showed the White House visitors with the binders, classified Epstein files, phase 1. So, and that's kind of like what I think. I think a lot of like those people who were there are even asking questions now. You know what I mean? Like if they saw that and then they see this, they're like, "Well, wait a minute. What? There's nothing? Nothing at all." Even for those right-wing influencers who went to the White House and got those binders. Like,
Do you think this is also partly? I feel like there's two different reasons they could go this direction. You know, assuming maybe they're not being totally truthful, which we don't know. Are they trying to deflect from conversation about the big beautiful bill? And also in light of Elon Musk, spitting out, he's seen the list or whatever, trying to go, and the fact that Elon Musk has evidently started his own political party, trying to just kind of deflect from all of that and be like, well, there's no list, there's nothing. Let's not talk about the big beautiful bill anymore. Let's focus on this. That ultimately means nothing because it's up to them to release it. And if it does or does not exist, they're probably not going to release it anyway. So it's a whole thing that sounds like maybe to get people talking about different stuff.
I agree with that. I totally agree with that. I just think that they maybe chose the wrong thing because again, it just doesn't pass the smell test. And even for folks who are 100% MAGA all the time, even they're kind of going like, that still doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? And it's not very often that you get them to directly criticize the administration. Um, and that should be a warning sign to them, in my opinion. It's because I think they miscalculated with this. But I think you're right. You know, I think that I think this was I think I like the second idea that you posed, that it was kind of a contradiction to what Elon Musk said, saying that Donald Trump was in the Epstein files, which I mean, he is. His phone numbers and he has, I believe it was 14 separate phone numbers associated with Jeffrey Epstein. So that doesn't necessarily mean that he partook in anything illegal, but he definitely did know the man. Regardless of what your feelings on the matter are, he knew him. You can't deny that. But I think this, like you said, is a good way to potentially discredit Elon Musk by saying like, "Oh, there's no list, so you were lying," type deal, or how could you have known, uh, type deal. So, which again, I mean, even if he did know, it begs the question on why Elon Musk would work with the child predator to get him elected, but that's a whole nother can of worms. But anywho, let's see. Um, so yeah, but they are reiterating what was found by the Department of Justice Inspector General back in 2023, which was under the Biden administration, which was that Epstein died by suicide. Um, Following the botched rollout of files, Bonnie raised eyebrows once again by claiming to reporters in May that there were tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn, and there are hundreds of victims. So again, unless these videos only have Jeffrey Epstein in them, like that's the only way this makes sense.
Yeah. And
I think you're muted. Oh, sorry. No, you're not. My
no,
bad. There was a
I'm
little like.
Ashlyn says she thinks it's very odd that there are claims of no list. The amount of deflection already gives the impression that there's something hidden.
Correct, because that's the thing too, is that as soon as this started going on, the redo into the tariffs stock, like the tariff talks started right back up immediately after this. Like I mean, it was immediate that this came out. Then Trump made a deadline, and then Trump made another deadline, like literally right after this, to try and get people off of this. Because I think they miscalculated. So it is very interesting. That's a good point, Ashlyn.
So, other questions. I think
Mhm.
either yesterday or earlier today, Trump was asked about the stopping of weapons to Ukraine, the shipment that
Mhm.
got stopped in, I think, Poland it was. Uh,
Mhm.
and if he was aware of that.
Mhm.
And he was not aware of it. He was not aware that the weapons got stopped, not aware of who made that decision, and then claims he would be the one to make that decision. And that's something he would know, yet it happened and he did not know. How much do we think is going on in this administration that he just has no idea about? Because I'm willing to bet, I don't know about that, but I think anything anything with this list or the Epstein files, I feel like he has people just kind of doing their own thing with to hide whatever may or may not be there, not saying he is
Mhm.
there or is not there. Uh,
Mhm.
but I feel like there's a lot going on in this administration, and he's kind of doing his own thing while the rest of his cabinet or whatever does their own things.
So there is a trend with Trump that I've noticed over the years, and I believe there's actual like video evidence of this happening. Um, when Trump believes he is right, and he believes that it will favor his views, like his views will be favored within the public overall, he says, "I'm the best at this. There's nobody better than me. Like I am the best." That he's very prone to doing that. He's done that throughout the years. It's very well documented. That's not me just saying that. Now, if something makes him look negative in the public light, he's very, very quick to say, I don't know, or that wasn't me. I'm not aware of that. I haven't heard of this. So, and then but then he'll say, kind of like what you said, I don't know. I'm not aware of this. But rest assured, if this happens, I'm going to be making the decision. I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be doing that. So he's done this many times throughout. I mean, start from the start of his presidency to today, even during the Biden administration. If people asked him questions about his first term in regards to COVID and things of that nature, he's like, I didn't know that, or I wasn't aware of that. But as soon as it was, um, you know, uh, if we pass tax cuts or things like that, he's like, yep, I orchestrated that deal. I did this. I did that. He would say, so he's very quick to claim responsibility if it's a positive light, and very quick to say he does not know or is not familiar if it's anything that represents him in a negative light. And again, that's not me just saying that. There's video evidence of this out there, of him doing this. This is not my opinion. I've watched this, and you can go watch it too. It's probably not hard to find. So yeah, but we've reached the halfway point on the stream, and I think we've had our taste of like I said, it's not a conspiracy theory. I think it's something that just doesn't quite pass the smell test, and I think it deserves a little bit more scrutiny. Um, and we'll see what comes of it. Probably nothing. Officially, from this administration, the only thing I could see is if a independent watchdog somehow finds out more information that the FBI and DOJ do not have. I doubt that would be the case. Or if there are some survivors out there who have information that is more prevalent and they step forward. Obviously, I can understand how that would be traumatizing for those individuals, but the story goes on. The question marks amass by the bundles. So, but on to the next, where we do have some legitimate conspiracy theories going on with people who are completely detached from reality. Um, Flooding and tragic flooding, really across the United States. Um, this week, and I believe did it start? Did it start late last week, or was it? It was
Uh,
over the July 4th weekend, correct? When it
correct.
started. Okay.
Yep. Realistically, if you want to, the what we're going to be talking about, yes, was the end of last week. But there's been flooding events for a good chunk of June, even in like West Virginia. I think
That's
Charleston,
right. I do remember that.
West Virginia, that kind of area got slammed, and now you've had
I
Texas.
turned off my share, by the way.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
You had Texas, you have New Mexico, you had Chicago, you had North Carolina. Like the past week has been real moist.
Brutal.
Yep.
Oh no. Yeah, I'm pulling up the National Weather Service now. Feel free to pull up any links that you have, but I'm just gonna kind of look for like flood prediction and things like that, because I know there's some flash flood warnings that are currently going on in oh interesting. There might be a major flood going on right now. Um oh, this is due to a forest fire in Siskiyou County, Oregon. So there's a
Huh?
immediate evacuation notice that has been released by the National Weather Service as of 3:10 Pacific time, so 2 hours ago. Interesting. Hmm. Due to the Butler fire. But yeah, it looks like
Interesting.
there's quite a bit of flooding going on in North Carolina, with another line of storms that has been that looks kind of stalled out around the area. Which obviously, for those who are not aware, Western North Carolina was absolutely devastated by Hurricane Helene, and any kind of excess flooding that goes on there now is just adding insult to injury. I mean, those people have not recovered, and FEMA being hampered by the current administration is not helping. We understand that that is what it is. There's not much you can do about it, but any additional flooding is obviously not going to help them out there in that neck of the woods. I do believe it's a little bit east of that, though. I believe it's east of Asheville. It looks like to be
Yeah, it's more
Asheboro and
like
Greensboro.
central. I want to say
Central.
like central North Carolina.
Yeah.
Uh,
So that's good. I mean, bad, but good. So
yeah.
I'm trying to see. So I've actually got, or I'm pulling up the river gauge maps, I think.
Yeah.
Daily stream flow conditions. You might have it better than I do, but
Doubtful because I don't know what you're looking at.
yeah, I'm looking
I'm
at.
gonna do this
I
real
mean,
quick, though.
it's a daily stream flow from USGS. Oh, this is the National Water Dashboard. Okay, I'm gonna do this. You know, I'm gonna send this to you. Actually, no, I'm not. I think I can share my screen here.
You can.
If unless you have a, do you have anything that you want pulled up right now, or am I good to share?
I just pulled up the radar because to show
Okay.
just the wall of rain from eastern Pennsylvania, southern New York, all the way down through North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and into Florida a little bit. Lots of
Oh
training,
yeah.
lots of training of the rain. There's even some thunderstorm warnings on the east side in the Raleigh area. But then you've got flash flood warnings again in the West Virginia area, just west of Charleston. There were a
Yep.
couple flash
Yeah,
flood
and
warnings in Ohio. There's a special weather statement just north of me. It actually might be raining.
so now
Can't tell.
in I so before we get into kind of like the thing that's kind of annoyed the both of us, obviously, um, a lot of this flooding that's going on right now currently is due to two tropical systems that have moved through the United States, adding a lot of moisture into the overall contiguous United States east of the Mississippi, including Texas. Correct? Mostly this is remnants of Beryl and Chantel.
Yeah. What's going on? Texas was it Beryl or Barry?
I thought it was Beryl. It could have been Barry. It was it was a B. I know it was a B.
Yeah, it was definitely a B. But then yes, then out east, in the Carolinas and whatnot, has primarily been Chantel.
Okay. So that's the thing, is that, tropical systems are notorious for bringing excess rainfall um, across the U.S. I mean, the thing is that obviously Helene was the tropical system that brought rain into Western North Carolina. But if you remember back a few years ago, Hurricane Harvey flooded Houston. I mean, these storm systems are notorious for causing the type of flooding that we're seeing. And the way that some of these river systems, especially, in Texas, obviously, I believe uh, it's what is it, the Guadalupe River. I don't know exactly what the river valley is called, but that river valley is one of the most deadly flash flood zones in the United States. And the thing is that these flash floods are literal walls of water that and I've heard some people who say like, oh, there was only 10 inches of rain, how could it create a 30-foot wall of water? And it's like, well, there's this thing called drainage. And if you've got a very, very um, narrow descent into a river valley, but a wide enough area, so you have a quick change of elevation, but a wide enough area, that 10 inches of rain falls and pools very quickly and drives down the river valley. And if you get 10 inches of rain in, a couple hours, then that is so much water that is just being poured onto one centralized location that it's going to eventually amass. I mean, that's kind of how water works. It pools up, and then that's the thing, is that if it dams up somewhere and then breaks, you get this wall of water that just rushes downward. So
Yeah. The Texas Hill Country is no joke. When you think of Texas, you're like, oh, it's flat everywhere. No, you go into southern
that
Texas, and it
I'm about to say
is not.
Abilene.
Yeah.
Yeah, Abilene's flat.
Yeah. But
Near the
the Texas
yeah.
Hill Country is no joke. They're no strangers to flooding. This
Mhm.
was excessive because it happened to be a perfect storm of, several different factors all coming together at the same time. Basically, the remnants of the tropical system essentially just sat right on top of this area. And given it being the middle of summer, there was a lot of instability to generate thunderstorms. When you have all of this tropical moisture and the ability to generate thunderstorms, thunderstorms are much better at pulling rain out of the atmosphere than just, like a general rain shower or something. They do it much more efficiently, and the amount of water that was in the atmosphere was egregious. There was a ton of it. So, because the system just sat there, you had a little bit of spin left from the tropical system to provide lift. You get thunderstorms. And those thunderstorms, because the system essentially was just kind of sitting there, rained over the same areas. Then you get the hills that kind of funnel water into these valleys. This is what you get. You get a perfect storm of just massive flooding. Now, again, this is not a normal event. This was, way upper echelon of flooding events you typically see, but the area is no stranger to flooding. It's not like a real uncommon thing.
Discharge. Okay, let's see here. So let's see. I'm going for so one of the things that individuals look at, during and post these events is the discharge rate of the streams, right? And I just want to give people a sense of scale. You've probably seen this elsewhere, but I just kind of want to put this into perspective.
You need to
Um,
share a different tab. You're still in the Fox News tab.
I'm still on the Fox News tab. I thought I wait.
Oh, no, maybe you're not.
No, I just stopped. I stopped sharing that one. So let me try that again. Water dashboard. Is this? How about now?
Nope, you're good now. Okay.
Okay, cool. So yeah, this is the USGS water dashboard. As a GIS nerd, this is made using technology that I know and love. So that's cool. But yeah, so if we go back down to Kerr County, so Kerr County. So this is where everything kind of went south. Was down here in Kerr County, Texas. And like Zach said, that's in the hill country here, and you can kind of see that via some of these topology maps. I mean, you can see how all of these small little rivers and deltas right here, or all these valleys kind of flow into the actual main riverbeds here. And there's one station. So right here, I mean, you can see right now, this one station is at an all-time high for this day of year, and it's increasing by 4 feet, 4 feet cubic, 4 cubic feet per second per hour. Ooh, wow, that's my brain broke there for a second. Sorry about that. So that's the flow rate that is currently going through that riverbed, because basically the USGS puts these flow monitors in there to monitor flooding. Now, so again, this is the all-time high for this day of year at 421. Okay, so now I'm going to share another tab. Let me know if you can see that.
Yep.
Okay, so it's at 421 and some change, right? So this is where it was at 5:15 a.m. Okay, 3:15. Then 3,700, and 13,500, 36,000. And again, these are all in 15-minute increments. So look at that. 6 o'clock to 7:30. So in an hour and a half, it jumped from 37,000 to 134,000, which is just mind-boggling. Actually, I want to find if there's a reference here for the magnitude.
if I recall, the river rose 20. I want to say it's like 26 feet to, or it rose 26 feet in about 45 minutes.
Correct.
From my notes here, which near Comfort, Texas,
Mhm.
it rose just about 30 feet in about an hour.
Okay.
Which is bananas.
So here, I want this to be an example here. So I'm going to share my screen because we've got that 134,000 as a reference, right?
Mhm.
So this tab here is from Only by Land, but it is the most powerful waterfalls on the planet. So Inga Falls. The falls push an average flow rate of approximately 25,768 cubic meters per second. So 910,000 cubic feet per second. So this right here, what you saw was 1/10 of this waterfall. But again, this waterfall exists constantly. It's the world's most powerful right here. So this is the world's most powerful. This was 1/10 of the world's most powerful waterfall. Just keep that in mind. So I'm going to scroll down here because I think the one that we can draw a nice comparison to is Niagara. So yeah, so Niagara Falls moves 2,407 cubic meters per second. So let's see, cubic meters per second to feet per second. Just want to make sure that it might be a different ratio than what I'm used to, so I just make sure I get it right. So 24,207. So yes, that's 85,000 cubic feet per second. So it almost doubled the flow of Niagara Falls. And that flow came about, how quickly did you say, Zachary?
Less than an hour. Is like it rose just about 30 feet in about an hour.
30 feet in an hour. And I mean, like, just it's an unfathomable amount of water. Just absolutely unfathomable. And the thing is that just like scientists say all the time, this like it's not the winds of a hurricane necessarily that will do you in, it's the storm surge.
Mhm.
This was a 30-foot storm surge. I mean, effectively, it's the same principle that a storm surge would happen, except obviously more rapid. I mean, storm surges can take hours to potentially work the way inland. This happened in an hour, and it went from 0 to 30 feet. It's just it's hard to put into perspective without being there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And some folks, and this is where I want Zachary to chime in to the best of his ability without having a coronary or popping a blood vessel.
I can already feel it.
But yeah, but some folks want to blame this on cloud seeding. Now, let's make this very clear to the world. Cloud seeding does exist. Cloud seeding does not produce enough rainfall to generate 2 times the flow of Niagara Falls. Zachary, is this correct?
That would be correct. If you think about it like this, so there was a company 2 days prior to this event doing some cloud seeding in Texas. I don't think it was close to this area, but not near this area. 2 days prior though. I don't know if you're aware of this or not. Clouds don't typically live for just 2 days straight. You might see clouds for 2 days straight, but they're probably not the same clouds. In fact, I can guarantee they're not the same
Correct.
clouds. Uh, and cloud seeding does not create rain. What cloud seeding does is takes the moisture that's already in the air and helps it fall to the ground. It's not creating moisture, it just takes what's there and helps it fall. But it can only do that until the cloud dissipates, which is usually a few hours. So 2 days before has nothing to do with this event. Nothing. It just doesn't. And even if it was a day before or the day of, nothing to do with it. You can't, no amount of cloud seeding that exists currently can produce that much rain. Like it just can't.
I mean, and I want to be clear. This produced, I believe, over 1 trillion gallons of water. Correct?
That sounds accurate, yeah.
Yeah. Again, I listen. I don't mean to brag. I don't mean to brag. But I've carried 5 gallons of water into the house at one point with one hand. That's a lot of weight, man. And I don't think people realize how much moisture is in a cloud because they think, oh, cloud, fluffy, right? I can fall right through it, right? It's just water vapor. Water vapor's freaking heavy.
Clouds
like
are
like
real
like when
heavy.
yeah, you don't like people don't understand the magnitude of lift that you have to suspend a parcel of air is a lot.
Mhm.
I mean, it's the reason that the atmosphere, I mean, and think of it this way, like the atmosphere is constantly fighting gravity and it's I mean every if there was no lift into the atmosphere due to convection, everything would just kind of fall to the ground. So the lift and the convection, whether that's due to forcing from wind fields or whether that's due to heat from the sun, that's what suspends these clouds in the air because these clouds weigh hundreds of thousands to millions of pounds. They're just being lifted by the air. They're being lifted by a force that holds them up. And if there's not enough strength to hold that up and you get enough moisture to condensate, then rain falls. Am I semi correct? I don't go to school for this, so
Yeah, it's close
is
enough.
it close enough? Okay,
Close enough.
cool. I know how to chase a storm. I don't know the exact science on what makes it down to the very last molecule, but essentially lift creates clouds when they reach the lifted condensation level and then they rise to the level of free convection and then they balance out at the equilibrium level. I did remember that. But anyways, I I just kind of want to go into this map here just so people can kind of see the area that was affected here. So this is Kerrville, and this is Kerrville County and Texas, and we'll go through some of the other places that were affected as well. If while I'm looking through this, actually I don't think camp stick. I doubt it'll show me that. No. Oh yeah, actually it will. Okay. So this is where that camp was, sadly, where the children were caught in the floods. But yeah, you can see here. I mean, I'm trying to see if I can find a base map that has the correct elevation profiles. Here's a topo map. Um, so you can see that this right here is a low-lying basin, and this obviously is going to get wiped out by the floods. And I'm pretty sure this is where the majority of the fatalities occurred. Where in these areas you can see here uh, where there's not a lot of contour lines. Contour line is basically representing a change in elevation. So I'm not sure what the exact like what each contour line is here, but you can see like this is 1900 feet above sea level right here, and then down here right by the river it's 1852. Now I want to see if there's a measuring tool here. Yeah, so this goes to show you how much change in elevation there is. So that, remember, this is the 1900 contour line. So from here to does it measure? Yeah. So it's 1,000 feet. So that's 3 football fields. You drop 50 feet. So not exactly a just slow slope down. So there was a nice steep gradient there. Obviously, that's at the lowest elevation. You can see it's right next to the river. and this is sadly the area where that 30-foot wall of water came marching through, and there's just nothing you can do there. If they don't have the alert to get to higher ground, which as tragic as it is, if they would have had that alert, again, it's only 1,000 feet. You can cover, even though it did happen very rapidly, you can cover 1,000 feet in 30 minutes. You know what I mean? You can cover 1,000 feet in 5 minutes, even if it is a 50-foot incline. So it does call into question the warning systems that the community has in place. I know there's been some criticism for the Texas government, and I believe there was some. I'm not sure if it was specific to Kerr County or not, but I believe there was talk about installing a alert system that other communities have that this one does not. Zachary, if you know anything different, feel free to correct me on that.
It was the governor of Kerr County or Kerrville or whatever.
The mayor.
Yes, mayor. Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
And I want to say it was 2019, inquired about setting up basically an alert system for flooding. And it was shot down because cost, basically. It's just too expensive to do. Basically, his system would have been setting up, outdoor warning sirens that would go off in the event of a flood.
Yep.
I have my own reservations about that whole thing, but
Mhm.
he tried. Like, that is still better than nothing that they have now.
Correct.
It's my understanding that the camp is in a basically dead cell zone. So even when you have next to no service, getting the wireless emergency alerts on your phone that get pushed for significant events, you're gonna have a hard time getting those.
Right.
Which means I'm gonna go out on a limb and say they did not have a weather radio. Most people just don't. They're not really things that
Mhm.
people think about. So there's, from what I have read, the National Weather Service did their job. They had talked about the event prior. There was a flash flood watch. There were flash flood warnings, flash flood emergencies. Now, obviously, once things are happening and you get to that flash flood emergency stage, stuff's already going down. Like, it's getting bad quick. I know some of
Correct.
the
There's
local. Go ahead.
no, you're good. You're good.
The local meteorologist had called this out and had been a little bit concerned about the amount of rain that was going to fall. Like, this shouldn't have been a secret, but not enough people just pay attention to the weather. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know. Did they know it was coming? Did they not? I'm not going to sit here and pretend to know what happened. That's not what I'm here for. There will be a lengthy investigation, I'm sure. Especially, events that kill 120 plus people with still another
With
170 missing or so. Like,
yeah.
lots of
this
people
is
are
the
going to be
deadliest
real
flood.
interested in figuring out
This
what
is the
happened.
deadliest flood in modern Texas history, I believe, because
I
it's already
believe, yeah.
surpassed Hurricane Harvey, correct?
I believe that is correct.
And I believe the other two floods happened I believe prior to 1940. So, yeah.
But somewhere there was a point of failure, whether that be with the way the National Weather Service communicates with local officials, whether that be with the way local officials get the word out to their residents, wherever that is, somewhere there was a failure. And the social sciences, meteorologists, everyone's going to be trying to figure out where this happened. It is my personal opinion that flash flood warnings need an overhaul. They are not. There either needs to be a separate thing, for stuff like this, like flash flood warnings are so commonly used for just ponding on the roads. Like
Correct.
you get a couple heavy thunderstorms in areas that don't necessarily always flood, but you get somebody that says, "Oh, there's water over the road here. And it's still raining a little bit. Flash flood warning."
Mhm.
Those are the kinds of floods that people are just driving through because who cares? It's not even a quarter of the way up your tire. Now, realistically, turn around, don't drown, do that whole thing. But we know the way people are, right?
Correct.
Events like this going flash flood warning, I don't think it's enough. It doesn't,
Correct.
because nobody reads the text of the warning. Nobody looks in it and goes, unless you're a weather nerd,
Mhm.
nobody's looking in it and going, "Oh yeah, this is like, a considerable situation." Sometimes they'll use, considerable tags or catastrophic or whatever, depending on the severity. The average person isn't looking at that stuff. And as we said,
Correct.
putting those tags in there is what helps trigger your wireless emergency alerts. But if you
Mhm.
don't have any kind of cell signal to get those alerts, guess what? Doesn't matter.
Yep.
But flash flood warnings in general aren't taken very serious. Now, once you get to the
And
flash flood emergency, I feel like people kind of take those a little bit more seriously, but usually by then it's
it's
for
too late.
for some group of people it is too late. In
Correct.
most
Yes,
cases,
the
not all
emergency has
cases.
to be
Yeah.
established. It's the same thing as a tornado emergency, right? Most likely that tornado has been on the ground doing damage. It is just now, however, intensified to the point where it is now about to affect either a densely populated area, or it is B, such a strong tornado that it will kill you if it hits you. It's not a
Mhm.
matter of if, it will. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Like
but that's yeah,
if you
yeah,
don't take action, if you don't get underground, you die. That's the whole
correct.
point. Same flash flood emergency. You don't take action, you're in trouble.
Yeah,
And
you don't
here
take
we saw
hires
that.
ground.
There's
Yeah,
this with this camp, as sad as it is, a ball was dropped somewhere and action wasn't taken until it was too late. Now, what I did hear, and I read a couple different places, there were 700 some odd campers, I think, at this camp.
hmm,
So you have to give at least some credit to the
correct.
staff, to
It
the
could have been
kids.
far worse.
Yeah, for it not being worse. It is,
Correct.
don't get me wrong, it is incredibly tragic that it is as bad as it is. But like most things, it could have also been worse. That doesn't make it better. But we can't also just, like, we weren't there, nobody was there. We can't just shit on the staff or whoever was there because we don't know. We don't know what
Correct.
happened. And unfortunately, for a lot of it, we might not find out because a lot of the staff that was, in the middle of it, they didn't necessarily survive.
Correct.
So we're not going to know maybe exactly what happened. But
Right.
something somewhere has to change. And
Correct.
I've seen, obviously, FEMA having trouble getting down there to help. They've gotten stuck in the bureaucracy of the current government. So it's been a very slow response. I've seen countless videos of folks from that area begging for help. Where's the resources? Same, it's no different than the people from North Carolina complaining, where's the help? Where's it at?
Right.
Like,
Yep.
there's some serious stuff has got to change. And unfortunately, I do not see that happening anytime soon.
Correct. And this goes into that area of where the water fell. So like you can see here, um this is that watershed. So this is the watershed that flows directly into that section of the river that impacted this camp here. And I did want to point this out because I think this is important to know. And this is important for anybody. I know that we have a wide nationwide viewing base of trillions of people. Uh, but this is the FEMA flood map. This is easily accessible. You just basically look up FEMA flood map. People use this all the time for building planning, things of that nature. But you can look this up and see if you're in a flood zone. This is great for insurance. It's great to figure out if you're also in a danger zone. Um, and sadly, the majority of this camp was in a hazardous flood zone. I mean, you can see it right here. Regulatory floodway. I mean, this place floods, and it with how dangerous this river valley is and how prone to flooding it is, it shocks me that the camp was allowed to stay there and operate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just seemed like it was a recipe for disaster.
At the very least, without more safeguards.
Right,
Also,
exactly. Like a levee, or I mean, obviously a levee's still not going to stop 35 or 30 feet, but you know what I mean?
yeah. Real quick, I'm gonna let you talk real quick. I just got a
Uh-huh.
report of a funnel cloud here, so
Oh,
I'm gonna go take a
yeah. Go
peek real
verify.
quick.
Go verify. I'm looking at my radar scope now. Oh shoot! How about that? There is a nice storm right above you. Um, but yeah, I mean, for those for those watching, it, it's just important to realize that there's so much that should go into making the decisions that save individuals' lives, but so many times it gets bogged down in politics, and we can do so much better. I think that's the big thing. We can do so much better. Whether it's um, like Zachary said, these people probably didn't have the cell service to get these alerts. With a country that's as rich as we are, that shouldn't be the case. Whether it's satellite, whether it's Starlink, whether it's Verizon building an extra tower, whether it's the federal government paying for the infrastructure to build their own government network of cellular towers that are free to access for everybody, that should happen. You know what I mean? And Zachary, you can pitch in on this. Did you see a funnel cloud?
No, I did not.
Oh,
It is
okay.
raining pretty aggressively hard, though, but
Oh,
no, no funnel
fun
that I
fact: the
could see.
funnel cloud is over you.
There is from the Detroit radar. There's a little bit of
There is a little bit of rotation there.
very elevated because this is a radar
Detroit radar.
crap zone, but
Yeah. But I was while you were gone, I was kind of going into the fact that kind of on the lens of something needs to change. It's just a lot of this stuff that could save individuals' lives gets politicized and things of that nature. But I said realistically, being the richest country on the planet, um, whether it's Elon Musk's Starlink, whether it's Verizon putting up another tower, or whether it's the national government creating a cellular system that covers all of these remote dead zones, and it provides free cell phone connection to those dead zones. That's how you save lives, you know.
you
And
want
the
to
problem is that
go ahead.
go ahead, they're good, you know.
You
And
want
the
to
problem is that
go ahead.
go ahead, they're good.
No, you want a government contract. Elon Musk loves his government contracts. You
Mhm.
could make a pretty neat alert system with you just
Correct.
any camps anywhere you put a Starlink out there, alerting systems, and whether you have cell
Yeah,
service or not, remote locations, you can get those alerts. You can protect the people who are staying there. However,
correct.
with the flash to the NOAA budget, on a list of things that are not going to happen, it's definitely going to be that. So
Correct. And because that's the thing, is that this is going to sound very crude. Um, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink, right? Well, this instance, if you were to take the horse's head and put it under the water, it would either have to drink or it would have to suffocate. So the thing is if you put all these Starlink systems there and didn't give people the choice whether or not to have them, then they would have the service regardless. They wouldn't have to pay attention. As dumb as that sounds, we obviously want the public to be as informed as possible when these alerts come, and we want them to know about them. But if they get the alert, that's great. That's at least half the freaking battle. Whether they understand it or not, that's a different story. But them getting the alert in the first place is a better step than what these people probably got.
Mm-hmm. And it takes
So
away 1 point of
failure,
one possible point of failure. Like, dude,
and it's a
like
big one. It's a
it
big point
is.
of failure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
knowing is half the
in
battle,
my
literally.
correct, and that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. It's like it's one thing. It's one thing to know that you're under a tornado warning and go stand out in your porch and look for it, right? It's another thing to be sitting there watching your TV and then getting leveled by a tornado that you didn't know was coming.
It's the whole conversation, and this I'm not going to go off on this tangent, but it's the whole conversation of people getting pissed off every time the news breaks in for a tornado warning or something.
Yep.
You can't
They're
act
doing
if
it
you
to
don't know.
protect life and property.
Mhm.
They're doing it to protect someone or something. Just because that someone or something may not be you does not mean that it is not important.
Yep.
Bingo, bango, bongo. And with that, you all right to wrap up? I know we've gone 15 minutes over, but I think have we have we made our point?
I think so. I'm gonna continue looking for maybe a little spinny boy. Rotation is still
All
there,
right.
and I'm curious. So what else am I
Sounds
gonna
good.
do?
Well, if you go out and drive and find it, just let me know.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, with that, that concludes another episode of the Neutral News Network. Again, we greatly appreciate you guys tuning in. We know this is a little bit more abstract and a little bit more focused. Obviously, we hope Jake can join us next week. And I am also going to be moving, like I said, as well. So hopefully, I will be able to attend these streams going forward. Obviously, I'll be able to be here well down the line. It's just the week that I move, I might be a little bit hung up. But yeah, outside of that, please like, comment, subscribe, follow us on Twitch, follow us on Facebook.
Twitch,
You know,
Facebook, YouTube, all the things, everywhere.
yep, yep. We're trying to reach as many people as possible, just to kind of give the feedback that we're given today, and just again to make people think more critically and stay informed. So yeah, with that, thanks so much, everybody. Have a great evening, and we will see you next week. Take care.
When moments go down, the soul and mind floating up into the clouds.